Welcome in with Fantasy Sanctuary. Stumbling from the get-go, but it's okay. We're going to get through everything tonight. It's a special show. It's another best ball show, but normally we're stuck over on DraftKings. Occasionally I've been delving into FFPC. But tonight I've got my good friend Joe here on screen with me, and we are going to be jumping into some underdog drafts. Can't access it from the UK, but that's not going to stop me. Last year Underdog had to fly me out to stop me whinging, drafted at the headquarters. This year, from the rainy UK, drafting with my good friend Joe from FantasyPros, Face Off Sports Network, Triple Pay Fantasy, and his own YouTube channel, Beyond the Gridiron. Joe, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. Like we've never got to collaborate before on a team. And I know we met I like Curtis Samuel. I don't. And now we get to see who we get to see it live. I'm excited. I've had way too many energy drinks, so don't mind me.
Well, yeah, we are going to dive into a Best Ball Mania draft in just a minute. But Joe, how's this offseason been for you? We were chatting earlier. We're both doing a lot of slow drafts. We're doing a load of slow drafts together as well. But are you kind of done with the off season now? Do you just want to get to the football, or do you feel like you just still want to cram in those final few drafts over the next month or so?
90% of me wants to just get to regular football because we're already seeing the Joe Burrow going down, Zach Moss going down, Tim Patrick going down, and I don't want these teams from 2 months ago falling apart on me. But at the same time, I'm still waking up and saying, oh, let me just enter another best ball. Let me just enter another one. Let me do this. And, if my fiance is watching, please don't get upset. I'm not wasting our money. I'm paying for the wedding with this,
Yes, definitely. Everyone's only upset if you lose, and that's not
exactly
what our intention is here. Best Ball Mania, it's $3 million up top, as well as having the regular season prize. There's a lot of different strategy to it. We're going to talk about that as we go through. In terms of other content on Fantasy Sanctuary this week, we've got Justin Herzig on tomorrow night, and we'll be talking DraftKings Best Ball strategy. That's going to be a great show. We've got more Dynasty content coming from Rich, so do make sure you are subscribed. But Joe, should we jump into a draft? Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Let me get over here. Let's get you want to log all four in and just go at it?
Let's just go one. Let's go one. We'll slow play. Yeah,
we'll slow play this right now.
Last week I did 5 drafts at a time on stream, and we'll just we'll take it easy and just go with one.
Let's see what happens here, since it's telling me we need your location. There we go, and we'll allow that. Underdog does not like me some days, I swear.
See, you just gotta get in with them, and
then we're all good to go. Yeah, we're gonna give it a minute, I guess, to kick it over.
A few good people in the chat. Shout out to Davis, always grinding the underdog streets, and my good friend Jace Clee Green. So for anyone not aware, Best Ball Mania is $25 per draft. It's a fantastic contest. I think it's 600,000 total entries this year. It's been starting to fill up quicker and quicker. We are just waiting for this draft room to fill. We've got 4 people left to jump in. So if you're in the chat, do jump in with us. We'd love to be drafting with you.
Yep.
Joe, how have you been landing with these drafts? You've been getting a lot of the early picks or a lot of the late picks? I know everyone feels like the system's against them.
Oh, the system is 100% against me because I have to be the king of 111. The only time I get any other picks is the ones when you and I are working together or I'm talking with somebody else. But if I think I'm just going to get it, nope, 111, 85% of the time. So I am the king of 111, and I guarantee we get it here because I've been just talking trash.
Well, I quite like being on the turns. On streams, it's always a bit nicer being on the turn because then you get a bigger weight in between and we can have more conversations about stuff. Davis asking, how does Joe feel about Najee Harris? Based on the answer, I might log out. So maybe we'll just get to that in a couple of rounds' time. I know that Davis is heavy on him, not quite as heavy as our good friend Felix, who took down the DK Million a couple of years ago. I believe he's at over 70% Najee right now, which I'm not at 70% Najee.
Ooh.
Let's put it that way. Okay, we're about to find out where we're going.
Yeah, we're about to find out. And Davis, you can say, hey, we're early. I like it.
Oh, 1-2. Let's go.
I like it. I like it. I think we're both going to agree on our first pick, already.
Yeah, and in terms of this room, not spotting too many badges there. So, maybe we can get away with a slightly softer room than we might have faced if we were streaming at certain other times of the day. No, like you log on to see Pete Overzet's streams or Ship Chasing, and the wide receiver avalanche has become kind of a hot topic. And obviously, wide receivers are getting pushed up on Underdog quite heavily. Have you found yourself at times fighting that, Joe, or do you just kind of like every now and again you've just got to get on board with the rest of the room?
So in the beginning of the summer, I was just going robust running back because it seemed like everybody else and their mothers were drafting wide receivers for the first 6 rounds and a quarterback. And I was like, okay, I'll just take 4 and then like 4 running backs and go from there. But lately I've kind of see the tide turning just a tiny bit here. And I'm able to finally start going like 0 RB, hero RB to where I'm comfortable. And we're on the clock and Jefferson's gone. So do we want to go with our guy from the Rams?
Let's go Cooper Kupp, my wide receiver 2. I feel like I can sway myself into talking about Cooper Kupp as the wide receiver 1. You toggle to the draft board for us, Joe, but yeah I think like, you look at what Justin Jefferson did last season, and a big part of it was because the Vikings defense was so poor that they were kind of in games, so they were still having to throw a lot. But now you look, okay, you add Jordan Addison to things, and it's like, okay, Jordan Addison arguably could be the wide receiver 1 out of this rookie class. TJ Hawkinson is going to be there for longer. So I think there's definitely a case where you can say that Justin Jefferson's got an increase in his competition. Meanwhile, Cooper Kupp has no increase in his competition. The defense has got sizably worse. And yeah, the Rams are going to have to pass the ball heavier. So maybe in a few weeks, I might feel spicy enough to say Cooper Kupp could be my wide receiver 1 overall.
Yep. Wait, hold on real quick. Where is the draft board button? Because they changed the screen on me.
Just above, next to your name, Joe Pepe 20 on the right-hand side of the screen.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
It's quite all right. You are the one who drafts on Underdog regularly, but I'll guide you to it. I spend my life watching these draft streams.
Listen, I'm a slow drafter. I'm a slow drafter on the phone. So, I have one button I press all the time. Like, hold up, where'd this little board thing go? But I love Cooper Kupp this year, man. Like, I absolutely love Cooper Kupp because, like, we have Van Jefferson, we have Higbee there, but, like, neither of them scare the hell out of me. Cam Akers doesn't scare me in the passing game. There's nobody there. I like Puka real late, but, like, nothing that's going to scare me away. So I'm happy that we got the 2. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it's a fun place to draft from. Going back to what I was kind of saying about Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, it does still feel like they're going to be particularly pass heavy. Don't get us wrong. If we got the 101, Justin Jefferson would have been a smash. And part of that's the game theory that Jefferson just doesn't slide down as far as, you can see Chase slide to the 3, the 4. Cooper Kupp slides more. And I want to have an aggressive stance on Cooper Kupp this year. I feel quite confident in that. In terms of the draft board so far, there's nothing too crazy really come out. I mean, Nick Chubb's still creeping towards that round 1 on DraftKings at the minute. His ADP's got up to 13.6, and I really do think there's a very strong chance that we're going to see Nick Chubb in round 1 by the end of August. We're 3 picks away. Joe, what's kind of standing out to you?
For me, it looks like we're going to have to either hit a running back here or T. Higgins. I'm not real big on going one of these quarterbacks because I just find myself handcuffed. But how about you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, in round 2, I don't like that quarterbacks. I don't mind occasionally taking somebody like, if Devonta Smith falls to the back half and then trying to push Jalen Hurts into round 3, but obviously that hasn't happened here. So, yeah, I'd be fine going wide receiver or running back. And after I picked last time, I'll let you make the pick on this one. And
I listen. I'm not worried about Joe Burrow's injury. I think he's going to be back just in time for the season, which is fine. So I think T. Higgins here, so I get a chance at that Week 17 against the Chiefs. Better offense too. Than otherwise, it's Ramondre Stevenson, but I like T. Higgins.
Yeah, I'm good with either of those. So whichever falls to us. Jonathan Taylor going there at pick 21. On DraftKings, I've seen him fall as far as pick 35 today.
Do you want to go Ramondre? Because that T. Higgins just got sniped.
I don't mind. If you feel like you want to go Ramondre, and then let's figure out the 3rd round after that. I'm okay with that.
I'm gonna hope that DK Metcalf lands back to us, but we'll see.
Well, if he does, we can have a spicy conversation about that because
we can do Andrews too, though, because your boy's there from your team.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think whenever you get a chance to start wide receiver, running back, tight end, and lock in 3 really solid options at all those positions, it does tend to feel like you set your draft up quite well. So this team on the turn does have Justin Jefferson already. Looks like they're about a timeout. And we got Jalen Hurts, and we'll see if they time out again. Have you been taking much Jalen Hurts, Ben? I know that you're saying, these high-priced quarterbacks, it's pretty tricky to pay for them.
Not really, no, because I don't like paying for them, and all his options are around him, so it's really hard to stack him. And I'm not going to bring back with the Arizona Cardinals and be real excited about that for the week 17 of it all. So we just lost Mark Andrews too. So we got Derrick Henry, we got DK Metcalf, we have Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Najee Harris. What are you feeling? We got 15 seconds.
What's their wide receiver?
DK, our wide receiver is Cooper Kupp.
No, what's fair? What's on the board?
DK Metcalf and Amari Cooper, 6 seconds.
Let's take DK. So my thing with DK Metcalf, and I'm not having a complete hard stance against him completely. It's just more, I think that people aren't high enough on Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think that there's a very real situation where he's not just going to eat into Tyler Lockett's production like a lot of people think. I think it's very possible that he just eats into both of them. DK Metcalf has never really been able to separate from Tyler Lockett in target share in terms of fantasy points, stuff like that. And DK Metcalf, he's not really actually getting drafted anywhere near where he finished last year. I think he finishes wide receiver 25. Maybe I'm wrong about it. I'll look that up again in a minute. But I feel like I'm much higher on Tyler Lockett and JSN than I am DK Metcalf. But I'm aware that it's possibly a weakness that I have right now and a blind spot because I am very high on Geno. Joe, I know you wrote an article, FantasyPros, recently talking up Geno, and it's linked in the comments below, in the description below. People should check it out. What is it that's giving you hope about Geno?
Listen, he was QB5 last season. He figured out a lot of things. He was able to go and figure out his accuracy. And right now, he gets Zach Charbonnet, pass-catching running back. I'm not worried about his shoulder injury by the NFL season, 6 weeks away at this point. But I'm not worried. He's got a pass-catching running back. He gets Tyler Lockett, who we know can bust the top. He gets JSN, one of the best college wide receivers we've pretty much ever seen, especially recently. One of the things, though, that bothers me is that people are forgetting about DK Metcalf. And that's just because, for me, it's a DFS thing. And, obviously you play a lot of that, too. I like guys over 6'1". I like guys over 210. I like guys with crazy athleticism. And I think with all these other wide receivers there now, he's going to get those one-on-one looks, and he's going to be able to manhandle that. So I like that ability to give me not so much of a safe floor, but that boom type week is what I'm looking for. So I'm a fan of DK Metcalf for that, especially in a best ball where I don't have to pick and choose which week it's going to be.
I mean, yeah, I think all your points are entirely fair. I just struggle with it a bit. I think it's one of those ones where last year I was kind of late to the party and I got on board to the point where I ended up with about 8%. But last year, DK Metcalf only delivered 5 top 15 weekly finishes in half PPR. He was wide receiver 25 in half PPR points per game. And then you look at what the team have added to him. But I definitely don't hate adding to it because having some exposure to him, because it also opens up the fact that we can look at a Geno stack with JSN. We can look at Tyler Lockett. And I quite like the Pittsburgh Seahawks Week 17 game for a little bit of correlation. I think there's a lot of underpriced Steelers players there. Apart from Najee Harris, who I just struggle with in general because I feel like he's not an explosive player. And he said that part of that was to do with his foot injury. But when you go back and look at the stats, he wasn't actually particularly any better. Joe, we're 2 picks away. Top of it is Justin Fields, Joe Burrow, Drake London, DJ Moore. Anyone a little further down who takes your fancy?
I like Drake London. I like DJ Moore, who just went. Anybody a little further down, though, would be like Kittle, Hawkinson, Dobbins. They're not really catching my eye. I'm looking more at Drake London here, maybe even Justin Herbert.
I'm a bit hesitant to go Justin Herbert, but Drake London or Christian Kirk for me is completely fine, whichever you want to take of the two of them.
I'm going to go Drake London, and that's just because, and I know it's not the biggest stat to worry about, but I love their strength of schedule, and I think we can get Christian Kirk here, like on the next pick, and we can. So you want to go Christian Kirk?
Yeah, let's do it. I feel like Trevor Lawrence slides more in drafts than just about any other quarterback. So if we potentially have a chance to come back and get him, that would be a nice situation. The Jaguars as a team you've been aggressive on this offseason?
I have been aggressive on Trevor Lawrence and then a little bit more aggressive on the later options. And I know Zay Jones isn't everybody's favorite, and he's not mine's either, but like in best ball, it's a little bit different. I've been on and off of Calvin Ridley. Loved him in the beginning, faded off of him a little bit when his ADP started moving up a little too high for my liking. And then, of course, that video comes out for training camp, and he looks so explosive. I think they're going to be a really good team. The only thing I worry about is people's thoughts on Travis Etienne. And it bothers me because no one realizes that like Trevor Lawrence has the lowest check down rate to running backs in the NFL, tied with Jalen Hurts. I'm more on Tank Bigsby this year than Travis Etienne, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Travis Etienne, it feels very dead zone-y, his price. I mean, he's a third-round running back, RB14 at the minute, like going in that kind of ahead of Joe Mixon. It's basically, once I get past Josh Jacobs, none of the running backs massively interest me until I don't mind Joe Mixon, but he was so much cheaper previously that it feels like we're kind of chasing that a bit. And until we get down to that sort of J.K. Dobbins being a Ravens homer, David Montgomery, James Conner area of the draft, that's where I get interested. So I find myself with a lot of zero RB builds, a lot of hero RB builds, because I'd rather take one of the top running backs and then really push it to sort of round 7, 8 onwards when wide receiver really dries up a little bit. Davis, when you win $3 million, there will be nobody happy for you than me, and I will absolutely eat my words and then come crawling to ask you to buy me a beer because I will have got a lot wrong in best ball this year. Joe, can you toggle back to the board for a minute? Let's see how the draft's kind of unfolding. See what else is there.
I mean, I'm kind of liking how this board is going. Let me bring it down a little bit to where we're at now. We're around here. Oh, okay. So the rounds are going again. You want me to bring it a little lower for you?
Yeah, or could you zoom out slightly? Can you try doing that? Try.
Let me see if I can flip this. And can you see that screen that popped up?
Yeah, that's all good.
Okay, cool. We'll let that one pop up for a minute. As soon as it decides it wants to load up, we're about 8 picks away, and I'm kind of liking how the board is progressing. Let me see if I can pop this open.
Yeah,
right, how's that look?
So at the top of it, that looks exactly the same, Joe.
It is not working for me today, man. It is just not my.
That's all right.
Let's try it. How about that?
There we go. That's beautiful.
There we go.
Perfectly done. So now, yeah, you're seeing the Bucs wide receivers going off, and then we are at a point where, the 5 teams ahead of us all have a quarterback. The team one spot away from being on the clock doesn't, and the team on the clock doesn't. So I think if we get past this team who is on the clock now, if they choose to bypass Trevor Lawrence, then I feel like there's a very good chance that we're going to get Trevor Lawrence land to us at our pick. Yeah. If that happens, Joe, are you down with that? Just taking the stack? And
100%. Yeah. He gets the AFC South and the NFC South this year. I'm totally okay with that.
What does the team at the 101... They took Jalen Hurts. They don't have any Jaguars. They didn't take Calvin Ridley. We could possibly push Trevor Lawrence around the corner there if we felt like there was a bit of a tier.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely could. We can get your boy Dobbins. Miles Sanders is still there. Damian Pierce, Michael Pittman.
Speak to me about Miles Sanders. I know you're high on him this year.
I just think it's all him because Chuba Hubbard couldn't beat out Foreman. So how's he going to beat out Miles Sanders for the ball? And they paid Miles Sanders. He's back with a coach who knows him, who likes him. They're throwing around the term workhorse already. And they got to have a really Trevor Lawrence just went, damn it. And they got a really tiny quarterback. So you need to protect them. All right, we're up in a pick. We got J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders. We got Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce, Dallas Goedert, Treylon Burks. They're the top guys. We also have Jahan Dotson, Darren Waller, Quentin Johnston there.
Let's say Dotson, and then can you tab back to the player one just so we can.
Let me flip that around.
I definitely like Jahan Dotson. I've been taking plenty of him this offseason. I feel like, there's a very real world where Sam Howell isn't great and things don't work out, but I've got enough faith in Jacoby Brissett being the quarterback for the Commanders that it could be really interesting there.
Yeah, same.
In terms of the quarterbacks as well, that just gives us an out to a later one. So, we could wait for Geno for that stack. We could wait for Desmond Ridder.
We're up.
Take your pick of Dameon Pierce or Miles Sanders.
All right, well, I'm going to go Miles Sanders then because I like Dameon Pierce, and he's got talent, obviously, but I'm a fan of Devin Singletary too. He's always just in the game. He's just always bothersome. He's always a nuisance. And Dameon Pierce has a whole different system now. He's 4th-round draft pick. He's not this team's guy, but Devin Singletary was signed to be brought in. I'm not saying Dameon Pierce is going to get overtaken. I just don't. It's not Rex Burkhead in him anymore. It's 2 running backs that can actually play the game. So I'm not as high on Dameon Pierce as a lot of people are.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I've been taking much more Devin Singletary than I've been taking Dameon Pierce. Miles Sanders, you're an Eagles fan, Joe. Oh, can you tab back just so we see the draft board? But in terms of if Miles Sanders is going to be this 3-down workhorse, are you kind of do you have to accept that perhaps the Eagles weren't using him to his maximum capability over the last few years?
Yeah, that's something that I could tell you, not insider information, because I feel like everybody knows it, but Philadelphia was not happy with him not getting as many passes as he should, as many chances in the passing game. His issue was that he would drop balls sometimes, so I guess coaches lost faith in that. But again, there's nobody on that roster that really scares me. It's Chuba Hubbard, who I think is just a perennial backup. And he's great to get late because I know you and I have had this conversation, I think, once. He's a good guy to get later because Miles Sanders does get injured here and there. But I'm not feeling anybody back there. And I think with Bryce Young being as small as he is, at least in this first year with the weapons not being amazing around him and how good that offensive line was in the running game, I think it's just going to be Miles Sanders kind of doing what he did with Philadelphia, where maybe he doesn't catch as much as we would like, but he's getting that ball a lot, inside the 20. And this time he doesn't have Jalen Hurts to deal with.
Yeah, so in that round, we saw Darren Waller go off the board in, 7th round, pretty much where he normally goes. I've seen him projected as high as some people's tight end too. And, a lot of people seem to be quite confident in him because he's out there mossing all these tiny Giants players and stuff. And he is the one big guy they've got. But you, in one of your tight end pieces for FantasyPros, which is again in the description below, you talked about him being somebody you're out on this year. What is it in particular that's worrying you about him?
The fact that he's up there in age and he didn't break a single tackle, not one. He's tied with backup tight ends on the Eagles. That worries me because I worry that some of that athleticism, that ability to kind of dominate is disappearing. And this might be one of those trades, not the same, but a Randy Moss going to the Tennessee Titans. It's it's not the same Randy Moss. It's not the same Darren Waller, in my opinion. He might be the big guy there, and they might throw him the ball a lot in training camp right now, but I'm also not going to say he caught 10 passes in training camp. He's the wide receiver. One, they're just working their new guy into the system to teach him the system, in my opinion. I'm worried he has injuries. He can't break tackles. He's up there in age. I wonder if the cliff hit already.
I think that's fair. I think he's got a very wide range of outcomes this year. Can you toggle back to the players and let's have a look what we've kind of got coming down the line to us? We're 5 picks away. So far we do have one. We've got how many wide receivers we've got, Joe, at the minute? Can you just scroll across slightly?
5 wide receivers, and we have 2 running backs as soon as my screen went.
Okay, so we don't have anything at quarterback, and we don't have anything at tight end. Yeah. One player who's kind of interesting towards the top here is Anthony Richardson. Obviously, we didn't have Michael Pittman, but I don't think that's so much of a need. He had a septum procedure today on his nose, which it's not something I've heard a lot about before, but I think it could keep him out of practice for a few days. And obviously, the bigger hindrance is probably the Jonathan Taylor situation. But do you want to take Anthony Richardson if here he does fall to us?
All day, every day. And we're up now, so I'm going to grab him.
Yeah.
I am a Florida Gators fan, and he's built in a lab, so I'm all for Anthony Richardson because the safe floor is there. He could be Lamar Jackson the year before the MVP, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's, there was a point where he was definitely going too high in drafts. We are back on the clock, so let's lock in another player. Do you want to go Cortland Sutton with this news that's come out, or do you want to scroll down a bit further for running back? Or
it's that or Zach Charbonnet and AJ Dillon. I'll let you pick.
Let's go
10 seconds.
Let's go Cortland Sutton. I feel like we can possibly be kind of like almost done at wide receiver. It gives us another avenue to a stack with Russell Wilson. Do you want to just add in a couple of the quarterbacks who we've got potential stack options for into the queues? But yeah, one thing I was going to talk about with Anthony Richardson. Yeah, in 2022, there were 27 instances of a quarterback scoring more than 30 points in underdog scoring. Of those, 27 instances, 18 featured a quarterback rushing for 5 or more attempts, and 16 of those performances, over half of them, involved a quarterback rushing for 39 yards or more. So basically, when quarterbacks rush for 39 yards or more, it pretty much always results in a top 12 finish. It's so difficult for players who don't have that rushing upside to be able to make up that gap in production, really. So I think I'm definitely in on Anthony Richardson. I mean, I got my heart broken with Trey Lance for 2 years in a row. And I'm trying not to get rug pulled again. But I think what Trey Lance had to deal with in terms of expectations for the Niners and with Jimmy Garoppolo, who would put so much on paper, Gardner Minshew is not that player. Gardner Minshew wasn't good last year. He's flashed at times, but we're talking about a guy who's more meme than quarterback. And the Colts have so little in the way of expectations this year that basically the best thing they can do is get Anthony Richardson out there and see what they have and get him to learn. And that's been the message from the team pretty much consistently. I do worry slightly that this procedure, if it knocks him off the field for a few days, might be slightly detrimental to his offseason. But yeah, I'm all aboard. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, I just want to watch players who I think are fun and enjoy seeing them be fun. So yeah, this draft so far feels pretty good. How are you feeling about it, Joe?
I like it, man. I haven't been able, like I said, to go wide receiver heavy all too much, and that's where we're leaning right now. We got a quarterback that I like for all the reasons you just said, like you nailed it. But I like those running quarterbacks and safe floor there. I like the 2 running backs we have. So I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, we got a chance at Geno. We got a chance at Zach Charbonnet still, which I'm sure he'll go away now that I just said that. But we got a couple quarterbacks coming up: Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, not counting the ones we put in the queue.
Yeah, definitely. It feels okay, and plenty of teams have got quarterback kind of dealt with, so I feel like we're not in too bad a situation. We're not chasing ourselves. Like sometimes it feels like you get in a room and there's a run on certain positions and you have to chase yourself. So we're 8 picks away. Can you scroll down the queue just a little more? Not the queue, the player list on the left side, and just see what else we've got there.
Yep, as soon as the underdog wants to let me. No, I don't want to look into Zach Charbonnet. There we go. That's it. Now we got some Pat Fryermuth, got some Alan Lazard.
Yeah, it's
Damian
kind of
Harris.
It's kind of a wide receiver dead zone, really, isn't it? It's like, last chance to grab someone before you've got Juju Smith-Schuster starting as your wide receiver. And it's always an area where, whether I'm playing DraftKings, Underdog, or FFPC, if it's a single quarterback league, by the time I get to round 9, I want 5 wide receivers minimum, because it feels like otherwise you're just counting on pretty rotten players to make sizable contributions. So
there goes Zach Charbonnet.
That's possibly not too surprising. It's slightly a bit of a dip on his stuff based on the shoulder issue that he's been reported to having. If you are finding Fantasy Sanctuary for the first time, thank you. We appreciate it. Hit the like button below. I don't know how many people have hit the like button already, but it's not enough. We do best ball, we do dynasty, we do redraft, and we do DFS in season. And if you want more, you can join us through the YouTube membership below from 99p or $1.25 per month. Loads of exclusive perks. All my DFS content will be there during the season. Rich's dynasty content's there. And yes, we are one pick away. Geno Smith, double tap quarterback, and then we're kind of done at the position.
Geno Smith.
Would you be happy with a quarterback room of Geno and AR, but don't feel the need to add a third?
If I add a third, it could be real late with like Desmond Ridder. But we're back up, and we have some Kirk Cousins, some Khalil Herbert, Damian Harris, Jacoby Myers, Jamal Williams.
Khalil Herbert or Damian Harris? Which one for you?
Khalil Herbert for me.
Let's go Khalil Herbert. I think, yes, that Bears backfield could definitely be a three-way tie, and there's going to be weeks where it's going to be frustrating. But what Khalil Herbert showed last year, he was so incredibly explosive. He was such an interesting player, and I don't think that the Bears move on from David Montgomery if they weren't at least interested in seeing what Khalil Herbert could do to an extent. I think, he was clearly more explosive than David Montgomery last year. He outcarried David Montgomery 5.7 yards per carry to 4.0. He had a big run rate of 5.88 compared to Montgomery's 1.55. He's probably not an all-round three-down back, but at this point in the draft, if we can get an explosive player, then that's okay. I mean, we've got two running backs ahead of this already, and it feels okay.
Yeah, no, I love that pick. Like you said, he's explosive. And at this point in the draft, I'm looking for that guy to get me that 20, 30, 40-yard run on a touchdown. I'm not looking for somebody I love Jamal Williams as a person, but I'm not really loving Jamal Williams as the player this year because it's 3 yards, cloud of dust, and he's not going to get the 17 touchdowns again, especially if Kamara doesn't get suspended, and we do have Kendre Miller there, who's off the pup now. So I like going for explosive players. Give me the people that can get 40 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, definitely. Can you toggle back to the draft board? Let's have a quick look at a couple of the other teams, see what's going.
Let's pop that back into the big screen.
So let's take a look.
Loading up now.
There we go. So just scroll up to the top for us, Joe.
As soon as Underdog wants to reload
refresh. That's quite all right.
Just wants to do it whatever it wants to do, apparently.
That's quite all right. It's, we've got a few picks away. It's one of the benefits of being on the turn. Always gives you a bit more time to talk things through. Just going to say, Green Goblin's team for the 9 spot. I know Green, great guy, really good, smart drafter, and I believe he did very well in Best Ball Mania, the original one. AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, Amari Cooper, Najee Harris, Kenneth Walker. If you just scroll down slightly for us, Joe.
If Underdog lets me, I will. There it is. There we go. I was like, where's the bar?
Alexander Mattison, Deshaun Watson with the Amari Cooper stack, then Treylon Burks, and a second quarterback in Tua, David Njoku, and then Kirk Cousins. I think it's a really nice team. The Kirk Cousins one, I'm not sure about, but the rest of it is just a really nice team. And I think it's you see all this sort of thought of knowledge about the running back dead zone over the last few years. If you really believe these running backs are mispriced, players like Alexander Mattison, then you can capitalize it on, build on it. I mean, Joe, I know you're fairly in favor of Alexander Mattison. I believe I sold him to you in a dynasty league for a quite nice deal at one point.
Yes. Yes, you have a good trade with me, so I have Alexander Mattison. I like singing the Hamilton songs to him, but I like volume, especially in Dynasty. But we're talking best ball. I like volume. I'm a fan of McBride, but I worry because I don't know if he could do anything on special teams. So I don't know if he'll be active. I do think, and I'm blanking on his name. I want to say Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler. I like him as the pass catcher, but I still think Alexander Mattison could do that too. Again, it's a guy on an offense that's going to have to be a good offense because that defense is still bottom half of the league. So they're going to have to throw points up on the board. It's the only way. So I want their running back. And if I can get them this late, I'm all in on Alexander Mattison.
Cool. So we are 3 picks away. Joe, can you go back to the player page? Maybe give us some players who you're high on in the queue, or
we got
up around 12.
We got Kendra Miller. We got Alec Pierce, Roshan Johnson, Tyler Higbee. If we want to like double tap on the Rams and maybe get a Stafford on top of that. That's pretty much where we're at, and we're up in 20 seconds.
Let's go Alec Pierce for the stack with Anthony Richardson. I quite like that. And then, I mean, so far, yeah, we've not got a tight end yet, do we?
No, so we're looking at Cole Kmet, Tyler Higbee, Irv Smith, which neither of us like.
Yo,
I wouldn't mind the Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, let's take. I don't think we need necessarily to worry about whether we've got Matthew Stafford with that one. I think we can say that we believe in the stack with Geno and the stack with Anthony Richardson, but it's high enough that they'll be all right. So I'd be fine with Tyler Higbee here.
All right, so we're going to go Tyler Higbee here. But yeah, I like that because I do think it's going to be Cooper Kupp 1, Tyler Higbee 2, everybody else's 3 on that team. So
Demarcus Robinson.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It definitely could get pretty murky. If Jonathan Taylor does hold out into the season, do you really think that's going to make life harder for Anthony Richardson? Because the RPO game's going to really suffer. If you've got somebody like Zach Moss or, Deion Jackson or whoever else, Evan Hull, do you think it's going to be a really big knock for Anthony Richardson, or he has enough skill to be able to survive that?
I think he has enough skill to survive that. I mean, yes, it's going to hurt, but I do think that if Jonathan Taylor does hold out and does take his time, there are players like Kareem Hunt and Zeke and Leonard Fournette and, not people that we're like, oh my God, super excited for, but players that can add a little bit to the defense to just hold them that split second that you need them to be held in an RPO so that Anthony Richardson could take that ball back and run 10 to 15 yards. So I'm not all too concerned. I just don't want it to be like a pass catching back. I'd rather it be like a banger type running back with him because you don't really throw it to the running back in an RPO. So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. So we see Kyler Murray go off in the 13th round. How have you been dealing with the Cardinals in general this season, Joe?
I have 0 Kyler Murray. I have way too much James Conner and a lot of Trey McBride because he's late. A little bit of Hollywood Brown, but that's pretty much it. How about you, man? They're a hard team, and I only really target them outside of James Conner if I built around the Eagles because of Week 17.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at what James Conner did last season, from week 9 onwards, he was a top 5 running back on 4 occasions. He only finished outside the top 15 on one of them. And now you're talking about, okay, he's going to compete with Corey Clement and Keontae Ingram for a job that's his threats to being an every down workhorse. They are paying him through the teeth. They can't get out of a contract this year, so we've got no real option on it. We've seen the Cardinals talk about the fact that they're excited to just, I think the exact phrasing was run him up the gut, and that possibly isn't the best use. But I think James Conner is a player who Colt McCoy can make use of. I think if Kyler Murray is healthy, then we're not going to see him running as much. There's plenty of evidence that says that players coming back off ACLs don't run as much on their first year back. And I think that should open up more short yardage and more kind of touches for him. Kyler has rushed in the red zone at times, and then if more of that's feeding in James Conner, absolutely. It's a slightly fragile pick in terms of I don't think James Conner's ever really played a full season. I can't remember how many games per year he does average, but I'm okay with it. I think, for a round 8 price, we've seen running backs come out of this area of the draft and be league winners, whether, James Conner and Leonard Fournette a couple of years ago. I'm blanking on last year, but it's a fruitful area of the draft, and I want exposure to them. And I think when you start with a hero RB build or a 0 RB build, and you can get them as your running back 2, that's something which I'm completely interested in. Joe, can you toggle back to the player menu and let's have a look and sort of like see if stream will cooperate. So
we're looking here at like a Cole Kmet, Jalen Hyatt, Jordan Love, DJ Chark, because I'm just waiting for it to cooperate here. Raheem Mostert, Rashid Shaheed.
Is that sorted by ADP? Is that
this is all just by I'm pretty sure ADP.
Okay. Just felt Trey Lance sitting at the top there. Felt like
yeah. I don't know why he's up there, to be honest. I don't know what this is sorted by. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that.
No worries. Well, you scroll down and keep us right. And so obviously we're kind of at an okay position with the running backs that we have. It doesn't feel like we drastically need them. But yeah, Matthew Stafford, if he makes it back to us, do you feel like we should take Matthew Stafford and just go with the 3 QB build, or do you want to push it and just build a little more fragile?
The only person I would want outside of Matthew Stafford would be Jeff Wilson or Jalen Hyatt, but I could be fine with Matthew Stafford and then hoping the other guys come back. Because then we don't have to worry about quarterback after that.
I think there's definitely something funky going on with the ADP because Jalen Hyatt's got an ADP of 202.
202, yeah. So I don't want to touch him yet either.
We are on the clock. Give us someone near to ADP.
We're going Matthew Stafford. We're talking a little bit of Jeff Wilson. We're talking Jordan Love, Raheem Mostert, Juwan Johnson. 8 seconds, though.
Jeff Wilson. Let's do it. Jeff Wilson. I like Jeff Wilson. Gives us...
We might get Stafford on the comeback anyway.
Yeah, if Stafford makes it around this corner, I think that would be fine. I mean, there's definitely something going on with ADP here, though, because Stafford's ADP is 155, and we're at pick 135. So
normally my stuff is set by ADP. I mean, we talked about that today.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what's going on with it.
No worries. That's all right. We'll just get a little weird with it.
It's got to be wild card season, you know? I mean, we gotta have some fun with it.
David's saying folding Stafford is always a fun pick. 3 QB builds are strong for playoff finishes. Yeah, and Davis is somebody who's wrote about how 3 QB builds is a good way to go at times. So it's something which I didn't do enough of last year. Matt Stafford,
we're up. We got 20 seconds, and he's still there.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Let's do Matt Stafford. I'm going to play around with the settings a bit. See
I don't know if you want to just double check the rankings at the top where there's something funky's got in there.
I'm checking it on my phone too because it's doing the same thing.
It's very strange. If you are in this draft with us and you have noticed similar for yourself, do let us know. It would be nice to know it's not just us. Shout out to Rob and shout out to Rich, who both became YouTube members with us today. We appreciate you. You know, you're in the Discord already and enjoying that. We've got very good Discord going with over 100 people in there talking dynasty strategy, best ball, drafting giveaways, stuff like that. So in terms of this draft, I mean, we're kind of 2/3 through now. We've got our quarterback situation sorted. We've got that Cooper Kupp stack with Tyler Higbee and Matthew Stafford. We've got a decent running back build so far with Ramondre. We've got some real power wide receivers, I think. Joe, what in particular for you stands out about this draft so far?
I love our wide receiver room, and I love that, like, if we want to fade away from it for a second, we can. If we want to, like, add a couple more, we could. I like our running backs with Stevenson and Sanders leading the way, Herbert being explosive, and people kind of still sleeping on Jeff Wilson. So I like that we got him there. I like that we're done with quarterbacks, so I could toggle that off. You know, we don't really need another one. I think we've done a pretty good job, especially with the ADP wanting to play the wild card game right now.
Yeah, so how far away are we now from our next pick?
14 picks away, and I toggled QB off for us so that we just only see the 3, you know.
Can we switch back to the players and let's have a little scroll down them and try and work out which we might actually want? Because, I mean, ADP is definitely still playing up for us here. We've got players in the 200s and we're,
it's just Kareem Hunt. This stream does not want to like us right now because it does not want to work.
Oh, no, I think that's about right. I think maybe I'm just reading it wrong. So across the player selection, across the top below your screen, can we scroll across on there and make sure that we're up to date?
Would you say you broke up a little bit?
It's all right. Don't worry about it. Let's just, if we go, so in terms of the players that are coming up, anybody you want to get?
Nobody's like standing out. I mean, again, Jalen Hyatt way later for me. We could get Chuba Hubbard at 186 ADP because we're, if it lands to us at that point, we have Gus Edwards. I don't know, that's your boy, that's your team. We do kind of need some tight ends, But
so what's
we
their
got
tight
three
end of
picks
the
away.
minute?
Tight end is, let's take a look at that. We have Michael Mayer, Mike Gesicki, Trey Bride, Hayden Hurst, if we want to stack him in a sense with Sanders, Luke Musgrave, Isaiah Likely, Jake Ferguson. That's, those are the top guys.
For me, I like Mike Gesicki. I think, there's been a bit of training camp buzz about Hunter Henry, but for me, Mike Gesicki's upside is fantastic. I feel like there's going to be plenty to like there. So I'd be fine with that. In terms of wide receivers, I don't mind Wan'Dale Robinson or Jalen Hyatt if he makes it back to us. It gives us a little Week 17 correlation with the Rams. I think Jalen Hyatt is probably gone now, but Wan'Dale Robinson.
What's your thought on Josh Downs? Because technically we have his quarterback. I don't love rookie quarterbacks with wide receivers, let alone a rookie wide receiver. But we're at the end of the draft here.
I don't hate it. I think I'd be more concerned just sort of tight end out for the minute. What is our build looking like at the minute in terms of players that we've got?
So we have 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs with Stevenson, Sanders, Herbert, and Wilson. 7 wide receivers with Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Drake London, Christian Kirk, Jahan Dotson, Cortland Sutton, and Alex Pierce. And then our tight end is Tyler Higbee, and we're up in about 3 picks. I wouldn't mind going like tight end and Chuba Hubbard if he comes back, or Chuba Hubbard and then taking the pick of the tight end after that.
What's the team to the ever one pick? What do they have at running back? Do we feel like running back could be something
for us? One team has 4 with McCaffrey, Taylor, Jones, and Warren. Let's check the back-to-back because he has 4. He has DeAndre Swift, Gibson, Devin Achane, and Tyjae Spears. So he's looking for a type.
Okay, so I'm happy to go with Chuba and then see which one of these tight ends come back, because I don't think there's a huge difference. Mike Gesicki does go, but do you want to go Chuba?
Chuba Hubbard's just drafted, and we still have a tight end. We'll have Trey McBride, Hayden Hurst, if we want to kind of like stack attack with our Jaguars guy, by the way, because this Jags versus Panthers Week 17. So we'll have Sanders, we'll have Kirk, and then we'll have Hayden Hurst if we want to do that. We're back up again with 25 seconds. So we have Trey McBride, Hayden Hurst, Musgrave, Isaiah Likely as the top guys.
Well, let's go Hayden Hurst. I think that makes sense with the Week 17 correlation. I think, he's a player that I don't think we're ever going to see him truly have a fantasy breakout. Can you just toggle back to the draft board? But I think, whilst he was at the Bengals targeted the tight end position at the lowest rate of any team in the league last year. So it feels easy to project him for more targets this year, even if it means that he's in an offense which isn't going to be as fruitful for fantasy. I think by now we have an idea of what Hayden Hurst is, and it's not going to be, he's not going to have like that Evan Ingram breakout year, but he can be plenty fine for fantasy and be a fringe tight end 1. So, I'm fine with that.
Now, we got 1 pick left. Do you want me to read back off the team, like where we're at? What are you thinking?
Yeah, can you just pull up the draft board on screen for us for a minute so we can just kind of see that?
Did the draft? Hold on, the draft board didn't switch over, because why would it do that for me? Give me a second, flipping that one back up. But we're looking at 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends right now. It's just loading the board as we speak. As soon as it decides it wants to work well, because of course it doesn't want to. We do still have a Josh Downs set up. There's Trey McBride. There's an Isaiah Likely there. We got a little bit of Mecole Hardman if we wanted to go off the cuff with it a little. As soon as it wants to give me the bar to go down, I will. We got about 13 picks left till it's our turn. There we go. There we go.
It's a nice team. I think adding Chuba there was a decent shout. Matthew Stafford, we did get, whatever was going on with the ADP board, we did get Matthew Stafford at 170 as opposed to pick 155, whereas ADP's going. That remains to be seen what kind of gremlins were in the system with us. But getting Hayden Hurst when we did, so we've got a tight end room of Hayden Hurst and Higbee. it doesn't really fill you with loads of confidence. So I'd be fine with tight end if somebody interesting comes back. Obviously, Isaiah Likely's gone, Luke Musgrave's gone, Jake Ferguson's gone. Jelani Woods goes, who would have been a name I would have suggested. I think Kate Otton's somebody I wouldn't mind adding to the queue. Joe, do you have any late round tight end targets after that?
Just looking at the tight ends now, I put stars on Trey McBride. I put one on K. Dotton before you even said it because I love K. Dotton. We do have like the Steelers set up. I mean, the Seahawks set up. Sorry, I'm not a huge fan of Noah Fanto. We could just throw a pick away and get Jimmy Graham because it's funny. But otherwise, it's not the most impressive room here. For me, the only other person outside of everybody I named is if you believe Darren Waller is going to get hurt, then I would go Daniel Bellinger and just like take a real deep shot there. But you're banking on an injury then, and I don't like to do that.
Yeah, I think I'd be fine with Kato, and I'd be fine with Noah Fant as well. I think Will Dissly and him are definitely going to split the amount of routes that they run, but I think Noah Fant is easily going to lead the way for fantasy.
We could do Noah Fant because we have Geno Smith and we do have DK Metcalf, and they play the Steelers in Week 17. So,
yeah, and K-Dot and Trey McBride do go as we're talking about these tight ends. It does seem to be one of those kind of slightly frustrating rooms, but I'm pretty pleased with what we've built out here. It's I draft a lot on DraftKings, and when you're used to the 20 rounds, that 18th round really does creep up on you.
Yeah, it does. Same.
Darius Slayton going off the board. So who's there at tight end? I don't want to force it if we don't need to, but
Kobe Parkinson's still there. We have Daniel Bellinger, Mike Mayer, Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz. You want to go Mike?
Let's go Mike Mayer. I mean,
I like it.
I think it's when you talk about rookie tight ends, it's very easy to talk down on them. I mean, you go back over the last 22 years, and 75% of them have rookie tight ends drafted even in round 1 to 3 have done very poorly and averaged under 6.5 PPR points per game. But
the good news is that that's a Week 17 matchup on our team with Anthony Richardson.
Exactly. So we get that last little bit of correlation. It's one of those where the upside weeks for Michael Mayer can be great. Got Jason in the chat saying Hunter Henry. Yeah, Hunter Henry definitely is somebody that I like. If he'd fallen past, I would have been more than happy to take him. But the Mac Jones drafted does take him. Joe, can you just recap our team for us?
Yeah, let me pull us up real quick here. We have at quarterback, at pick position 2, we have Anthony Richardson, Geno Smith, and Matthew Stafford. Our running backs are Ramondre Stevenson, Miles Sanders, Khalil Herbert, Jeff Wilson, and Chuba Hubbard. Our wide receivers are Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Drake London, Christian Kirk, Jahan Dotson, Cortland Sutton, and Alex Pierce. And then our tight end room, which I'm going to call the miracle room, Tyler Higbee, Hayden Hurst, and Michael Mayer. We just need somebody to fall in the end zone once a week. That's all.
Absolutely. I mean, our wide receiver room is strong enough there that I feel that's going to be a real core strength. We need Ramondre to have that kind of hero RB season and really turn it into a sort of top 5 running back performance. But it's a good team. We've got plenty of correlations. We've got little bits of stacks along the way. I feel like our biggest issue tonight was just technology fighting us and the ADP issue, throwing up weird things throughout the draft. But I like it. It's a good team. It's a good draft. How do you feel about it, Joe?
Listen, I like it. I never look at the projection thing. It does say we're one of the higher ones, but I don't care about that. We have good correlation. We have good bring back correlation. But what I also like is that we have some correlation that isn't Week 17, and this is something I like to tell people a lot. Yes, play for Week 17. Totally understand. You want to win the championship. You got to get to the damn championship, though. So I do like that we have Seahawks and Rams players, and they're going to play twice. And I don't think that the Rams have the strongest defense anymore. I like our running backs. We have 2 people that I think are going to be workhorse running backs, and then the rest are explosive or just get some extra volume for us. And then you crushed the wide receiver room because this was pretty much you making these picks minus DK Metcalf with me. But it worked. It worked out. I think this is a really strong team. So, when we're $3 million richer, everybody can come back and send you, all the super likes and everything like that. And get you guys paid more because you guys are awesome and you deserve to get paid for this YouTube thing more than you already are. So like everybody follow these guys. Just that's my last thing. Everybody follow this page.
No, I appreciate that. Like you say, Joe, I mean, it's an incredibly difficult contest to get to the final in. Like, even making the final with one team is quite an achievement. Yeah. Weeks 1 to 14, it's the top 2 advance out of your 12. Then weeks 15, 1 out of 16. Week 16, 1 out of 16. And then a 440 team final. So, yeah, I mean, if we make it to the final with this team, I'll definitely be pretty pleased. Or maybe we'll just win $1 million in the regular season, and that will be plenty fine. For everybody who has joined us, thank you very much. Shout out to Davis, shout out to Jason, shout out to everybody else. We really do appreciate you being in the chat. I will be back tomorrow with Justin Herzig. We'll be talking DraftKings strategy. We'll be talking loads of best ball stuff. Next week, we've got another guest coming on, and a week on Wednesday, I'll be drafting in the FantasyPros $350 contest, dabbling into the high stakes as we get closer to the season and these drafts really matter. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll be back soon.